Hi, nerds. Welcome back to my channel. You know me. I'm Danny Sansi, licensed cosmetologist, science fiction author, and registered super nerd. And this is the show where I just sit and talk about whatever nerdy stuff I've been obsessing about, sometimes while doing my makeup and sometimes while other people talk with me. And today I'm super, super excited. We have a really, really cool guest that I am not worthy to interview, but I'm super excited. We have the producer from the George Lucas talk show hanging out today, Patrick Cotnoir. Like, hey, dude, what's up?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I'm psyched to be here.
I'm psyched to have
You're more than worthy. Look at that background. That background rules.
I'd like to think so.
It rules.
You are the producer of one of the wildest shows I've ever come across. It started off as a live show.
Mhm.
And then, like many of us during the COVID,
Yeah.
you had to move it to YouTube.
Yeah.
This show is insane. It's not George Lucas.
No.
It's Connor Ratliff playing retired George Lucas because he
Yeah.
loves him and
Yes.
totally relatable.
Yeah.
And friends just conducting talk shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. And you got involved almost on accident. Is that?
Yeah, that's true. So the show started like 10 years ago. It was like early 2014, and Connor and I had been working on another show together called The Chris Gethard Show, which was a live talk show call in. It was on public access and then it moved to cable for a couple of years, but this was early days of that. And I just thought Connor was one of the funniest guys I had ever seen. One of the funniest performers I had ever seen. One of the, everything. So I was going to all of his live shows, and he started doing this George Lucas talk show, and I was, what did you call yourself? A certified
Registered
nerd?
super nerd.
Yes. So I was a certified Star Wars freak.
Yeah.
But it had been a couple of years since I was like really in the thick of it. Post Revenge of the Sith through sequels was sort of like a dormant time, and I think it was a dormant time for a lot of people too. But I was like, oh, well, obviously Star Wars plus Connor, I'm going to enjoy this. So I was going to the first show, and I get a text from Connor, and he says, so-and-so, who was going to do the warm-up for the first show, just bailed. Can you do it? And I was not a performer. I was like, I did it in high school, and I sort of got it out of my system. I was done. And I was like, no. He said, no, come on, really, like I trust you to do it. Can you do it? And I had gone to enough live, talk show tapings that like I vaguely knew the general beats of like who's here from out of town, who likes Star Wars, blah, 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 the things I could say. So I did it, and it was fun. And I started going to all the rest of the shows after that, and was sort of just like setting up chairs and, filming the show for him with like my cell phone against my chest in the front row, just so we like had a copy of the show that he could hold on to for posterity's sake. And then eventually he introduced me to someone as his producer, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not your producer. I'm just the guy who like moves the chairs for you and then says good job and leaves at the end of the show. And he's like, no, I consider you my producer. So it was fully not on purpose. It just kind of happened. And now it's all I've talked about for the last 10 years. So good, bad, you weigh the pros and cons, but it's been a long time.
So you guys get some amazing guests on this show. Like, I have been making all these stupid shorts and begging Pauly Shore to come on my show for at least 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting absolutely nowhere. But you've had a lot of really, really awesome guests, but most recently I was watching your Naboo movie. Tony Hale.
Yes.
Connie Newsom. Bobby Moynihan. Like, how are you able to get these people to come just act silly on stage? Like,
so the Naboo movie was something we did like 2 months ago. I did it with the guys from the Star Wars Minute podcast, and we did a live reading for the anniversary of Phantom Menace. We did a live reading of the script of the Phantom, for the people who don't know, and had a truly insane like Haley Joel Osment was Anakin. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. I'm able to get these people because like I've been booking shows and casting things for a decade now. 2014 was when I started, and it's just either people I've run across doing different projects or people who I've like lucked out and like met I live in LA now, so I've like met them at a party or met them at a show or met them
I'm so
somewhere.
sorry.
And it's just like, you're able to ask people to do things because once one cool person signs on to do something, more people will follow because they're like, well, if Tony Hale's doing it, I'll do it. Or if Lorraine Newman, original SNL cast member is doing it, like, that's good enough for me, which is kind of how Lucas works too. The Lucas show, we had John Hamm on early because Connor like did a play with him when they were like teenagers. And as soon as John Hamm did the show, like, you're able to get bigger and bigger names because, if Whoopi Goldberg sees that John Hamm did it, then Whoopi Goldberg's going to do it. And then Seth Meyers is going to do it, and Weird Al, like, it is all one of those things that once one person gives the show or anything that you're working on a chance, like the dominoes fall into place with other people, which is very exciting always.
Well, the only person I like legit know from childhood is Kathleen Madigan, and that's not buying me any tickets.
No,
so far.
a guest on Comedy Bang Bang today. I was listening to her today on the podcast Comedy Bang Bang. So that's a pretty good one.
She and I were talking yesterday about how she very irresponsibly babysat me at a bar that my mom and my dad worked at.
Amazing.
At a very young age, like telling me very inappropriate jokes and feeding maraschino cherries until I yacked.
So funny. I mean, look, it worked out great. You're both doing great. So everyone wins.
This show, it's so unbelievably unique, and Connor has this crazy unique style, or at least I believe it's a bit of a Midwestern flair.
Sure.
Thank you very much. But you've made a documentary about him. Why have you made a documentary about Connor?
Yeah, so I'm a co-producer on it, in that I was the go-between between the show and the guys making the documentary. So these guys reached out to us. Their names are Ryan Jacoby and Marsh Chamberlain. And they wanted to just film a show. They just wanted to film a show so it looked nice and we could put it online for people to see. Mm-hmm. And this was like December 2018, I think. Mm-hmm. And that eventually turned into, they wanted to do a short documentary, which eventually turned into them wanting to do a long documentary. And Ryan had been coming to the show and he just thought it was interesting and unique and something, we did not make it because you're never supposed to make a documentary about yourself. It comes off too biased. It comes off too, right. You want someone else to be the outside force. So my main job was like, getting all the people who were the talking heads in the interview to come like be a part of it and getting them all the footage from the old shows and, making sure they had all the information and the connections to the right people that they needed to have. But I think Ryan wanted to make it because like, people, there's a lot of comedy in New York, but a lot of it is just like stand-up shows or, straight comedy shows that are just normal run-of-the-mill comedy shows, which there's nothing wrong with, don't get me wrong, but this show is something different. It's something weird and something unique. And at the time it was only for the people in the room in New York. We weren't streaming it. We weren't putting it online. Right. And I think he was like, I'm seeing this and I'm enjoying this. And I want to make sure that other people get the chance to like see and enjoy this. And her and I were talking about how like, when we were growing up, we heard about all these comedy things happening, whether it was in New York or in LA or whatever. And we were like, man, I wish I could see that. But I'm 15 years old living in Connecticut and I'm not near, or Connor living in Missouri. I'm not near any of these things. I can't see them. So like, let's give people the opportunity to see what building a comedy show in New York is like, at least pre-COVID, and I think, I think they captured a very specific time in that world and a very specific moment. And, even doing shows in that city now are different than it was then. So like, I'm very happy that exists because people can see what it was like before we started live streaming it and it became more accessible to people.
You as people grow and you change.
Yeah, totally.
Therefore, what your creative output is going to grow and change as well. But my big takeaway from watching the doc and, I watched the shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
My big takeaway is this was 100% started out of a love for a genre, a love for a thing and wanting to share it with other people in a very specific way.
Totally.
And that there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right though. And a love for a guy, a love for George, like,
oh, absolutely.
We may not love unconditionally every single thing he has ever put out, but we can at least look at every project and be like, this was good for the world in this way, or this was good
Right.
for the entertainment industry or the film industry in this specific way. And like most filmmakers, you can't do that. You can be like, that was a silly comedy. It didn't break any ground. It didn't do anything. Or that was a sci-fi movie, but it looks like 17 other sci-fi movies you've seen before. Whereas like this guy changed the world, and that's like unquestionable. You know, there's so many ways that this guy changed it. And then for so long, you know, silly boys online were dumping on him saying he ruined their childhoods. And we're like, no, you idiots. Like, he helped your life. Like, if you like this thing or you like this genre of thing, this guy's responsible for that. And I think that was a big part of why Connor wanted to, like, you know, take that to the next level and like play him as a character, because it's poking fun. It's not making fun. And I think there's a big distinction there. I think everything that happens in that show is done with love for this guy, but you can still admit some things that he has worked on are silly, you know?
Absolutely agree. And it's done just flawlessly without even trying.
Yeah.
You can tell it's 100% from the heart, from the soul.
Totally.
And that's the thing I've loved about it the most, is that it's like you said, George Lucas is an incredibly rare filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like he created, you know, Indiana Jones and everything too,
Sure.
but he created Star Wars, and he could just live the rest of his life off of that. He never had to make another thing. He made Star Wars. And no matter what, for better for worse, we would not have that without him.
Yeah.
He created that.
Yeah.
From whatever inspirations he had, he created that. And George Lucas himself is actually this really chill guy. And to see so many people get so up in arms about certain things, you're like, dude, let me tell you a little story about George Lucas is retired.
Yeah.
He's retired.
Yeah.
That was his retirement plan. Selling it to Disney. He's like,
he's done. He's tired.
So just let him be retired.
Yes.
He's not going to buy it back. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just leave it alone.
He's not going to do it. Yeah.
Oh my God. So why am I talking to you? If the documentary is about Connor.
Yeah.
And Connor's the one who started the show.
Yeah.
Why are we talking?
It's a great question. I think we're talking, you know, I've been working on this show for so long, and like, and this documentary for so long. You know, it's been 5.5 years that we've been working on this. Like, we started in December 2018 talking about it. So like, this doc specifically has been such a big part of my life for all of COVID, all, you know, a year and a half before COVID. Like, it's been going on for so long, and we're happy to get it out in the world. And like, I just want to make sure that people, A, know it exists, B, know the show exists. Like, at this point, you can watch this doc without having seen the show. And I think it was specifically built in a way where it's like, you will understand what the show is in general, but it is about the show, but it's also about like just creativity and like a creative and comedy and like what it's like to, like, you know, do you remember the Muppet Show? You remember the Muppet Show? Yes. They're making a show with friends, right? That's what that show is. It's a bunch of friends making a show together. That's kind of what this doc is. It's just like, what is it like to have fun with your friends and make something that you enjoy together? And I think that, you know, I just want to make sure that people know this thing is out there, because the media landscape as it is right now is movies get buried. You know, movies come out and then they get buried and you can't ever find them because, I never knew that existed. And, you know, I just want to make sure that people know it exists. That's the big thing.
Where can they watch this? Where can they?
So it's on VOD right now. We did just sign a distribution deal with a distributor, so it'll be on more places that you can watch things soon. I won't say where yet because I don't, you know all the details just yet. But if you go to I'mGeorgeLucas.com, it's got all the info about it. But the way you can watch it right now is through that website, and there's bonus features and deleted scenes that you can get to. But it'll be more places soon. We're working on the Blu-ray. By the end of the year, I'm hoping to have the Blu-ray ready, because we've got so many extra things that didn't make its way in there that I'm really pushing to get that out.
Having physical media is important. Media is important.
You're looking behind me right now, and it's just a wall.
That's awesome.
There's more over that side too. So
that's
I'm a physical media guy, and I want to make sure that one of the reasons when we signed on to this was like, well, we want to put out a good Blu-ray too. Like we want to give them deleted
We want a
scenes
box
and
set.
extended interviews and like full shows. And we're trying to do more commentaries that have ever been done on a movie before. That's also our goal for that Blu-ray. We think it's very funny to do that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
So
absolutely hilarious.
that's the
I
goal.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So it's called I'm George Lucas, a Connor Ratliff Story.
It is.
I love the title.
It's really fun. It's a fun doc, and it's nice that we've gotten people to come up to us being like, I've never seen your show. I don't give two craps about Star Wars, but like I really enjoyed the doc, and I enjoyed, you know, what it's telling people about like what it's like to be just a creative and like a frustrated creative sometimes, and how to get through that, you know?
Right. And not all listen, comedy behind the scenes is not funny.
It's not. It's not. It's very difficult, and it's not always fun. But the end justifies the means a lot of times, where it's like this is going to be a pain in the ass to put together, but then like once you do it and once you're out there and you're either on stage or backstage watching people laugh, like if people are having a good time, the whole thing was worth it, you know?
Another thing I learned from the documentary is not only are you Connor's producer, you're also his hairstylist.
It's true. So that is true.
From one stylist to another.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. That's a great, yeah. He, you know, there's no good way for him to spray his hair, dye his hair, whatever, because the show doesn't happen on a regular schedule at this point. I'll say this, and you might be able to confirm or deny this. This is what we were told. We went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival last year, and we did the show a bunch, and Connor also wrote a play for him and Griffin to do in character, which was insane. And we did like 35 shows in like 28 days or something like that. It was too much. But he goes, I don't want to have to spray my hair every single day. Like this is going to be a real pain. And he went to multiple hair stylists in New York, and they said it is illegal for people to get their beard dyed in the state of New York. I don't know if that's
real.
True. That is what we were told by multiple people.
Okay, I've never been to New York. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here in Big Mo.
Yeah.
I'm here in Missouri.
Yeah.
Licensed in Missouri, have been for almost 20 years. It's not illegal here.
Okay.
I've never heard of that.
Okay.
Ever.
I mean, maybe they were lying, but multiple people
Maybe they were. Maybe they were just like, I don't want to have to be the one to tell this dude that. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get? Is it hard?
Is it hard to dye a beard? Yeah.
Excuse me. It is very hard. So here's the thing.
I love
in order to get that silver, white, gray look, you have to lighten it. You have to lighten it with what's commonly known as bleach. We call it powdered hair lightener. Y'all call it bleach.
Yeah.
But it is sodium hydroxide, so it's going to actually it opens up the hair cuticle and dissolves color molecules. Oh, wow. So it can actually do damage to the skin if it's done improperly. You're not actually supposed to put it directly on the skin.
Sure.
You could burn chunks of your flesh off. And men's facial hair is far more coarser and more resistant than just the hair on your head.
Sure.
Gray hair is more coarse, more resistant. So you have to do and it's curly, you poor thing. Yes. Just moisturize.
I know.
But you would have to do several sittings and use very high levels of lightener. So it can be very damaging. And they were probably just too chicken shit.
That might be it.
To be perfectly honest. They just didn't want to get sued. Yeah.
So, but he has to like spray up with hairspray each show, and it's truly like I think it's killing him. Like it's he's always in a bathroom, and that's a big part of the doc, which you saw. Like he's just like coughing because he's spraying up every single time.
It's chemicals that he's inhaling and eating and getting in his eyes. I kept thinking, like, dude, paper plates, they're cheap. Just
what is paper plates? Oh, interesting.
On his face, like this, just.
Oh, interesting.
They actually make face shields. I will send you a link, Patrick.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They make face shields.
It's a great idea. I mean, here's the thing. He's usually doing it by himself, though. That's the tough thing.
Well, he can still hold the face shield and go like this. That's why they make them. They make them for that and for hairspray.
Sure.
So
sure.
It's
a great idea. I love it. See, this was worth it. This was totally worth it.
Learning things. I would like my producer credit now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Anyway. I'm watching this documentary and learning about Connor.
Yeah.
And I see him, he said he was going to go home, visit home. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, home. And I just automatically think anyone who's anyone is normally from New York or California.
Sure.
But I'm watching him drive down this street and I'm thinking to myself, that looks really familiar.
Uh,
And then he says that it's Missouri Boulevard.
yeah.
That's Jefferson City, the capital of Missouri.
Uh-huh.
I lived there when I was very little, like in
Uh-huh.
the 80s. I lived there, and turns out Connor did too.
Yeah.
And I remember watching his father on the news, and I remember
Insane.
watching the puppet show.
Yeah.
So that was really like,
So wild.
wow, look at that. I mean, Connor's a few years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So seriously doubtful we ever ran into each other. Jeff City is actually a very large place.
But you never know. You might have gotten pizza at the same place or something, like it might have happened. But the thing about that shot specifically is when we premiered at this film festival, Slam Dance, which takes place in the same town at the same time as Sundance, but it's for movies that are under $1 million budget. And when we premiered it, Connor was like, that shot of me saying I'm driving in on Missouri Boulevard, it's not a shot of Missouri Boulevard. You guys have to change it because people from Missouri will know that I am lying. Like, they will think I'm lying because the audio was from one take, but the video was from something else. That's just how you edit a movie. So it was actually a shot of a different street in Missouri that they had put on while they were driving. So technically, the version that you saw and the version that is available to the public is the special edition. Because they did change it.
It's the special edition.
It's the special edition.
I actually lived right off Missouri Boulevard, like on top of a hill. You probably won't. This won't register anything for you, but I lived on top of this hill where you could look straight down and see the Capitol.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So
yeah,
that's cool. It's I don't know. It's just neat, especially for people in the Midwest, people in Missouri, when someone who's like from their small little area. And for the record, Jeff City is not that small. I mean, for us, it's not small. Maybe compared to New York or friggin' LA.
Sure.
Oh my God. But anywho, it's very exciting for us. Like he did a play with John Hamm. We're very proud of John Hamm here.
Yeah.
Okay. We're very proud. He's very handsome. He's very St. Louis. Very proud. What play? How did that happen?
They were, Connor, let me remember the details. Connor was in high school and he auditioned to be an Ordinary People at a college. I can't remember what college it is, but one of the colleges around there. And they did the play for a couple of weeks during school. And then they said, okay, we're going to extend it into the summer. And the guy who was playing the therapist, the Judd Hirsch part, said, I can't do the summer. I'm leaving town. So they said, okay, we're going to bring in this other guy. And I believe that the original guy was like an older guy, like, because that's what it's supposed to be in the play. It's supposed to be an older guy and a kid who's his patient. And they're like, all right, we're going to bring in this guy. He's a college student, all this. And Connor remembers being very like disappointed, being like, well, that's not going to make sense. That's not good. This guy's going to stink. This guy's going to be a bad actor. And in comes, 22-year-old John Hamm or whatever. And they did the show for like, I want to say it was like 6 or 8 weeks during the summer. And then they didn't see each other for probably 25 years, 30 years. And we were doing the talk show, and it was, I want to say it was either the first year or very early into the second year of the show. And Connor's mom emailed him on like a Wednesday being like, hey, I saw John Hamm is in New York. You should reach out and see if he wants to like hang out or something like that. And Connor goes, okay. And somehow, we have like mutual friends. John's very like connected in the comedy world. So like somehow got an email. Connor emailed him very late on a Wednesday night being like, hey, I have this show midnight on Friday in the East Village. If you want to come be in it, like, we'd love to have you. It would be great to see you. And like 10 minutes later, he gets an email back being like, yep, I'll be there, buddy. Good talking to you. See you soon. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's amazing.
I have reached out to other people from Missouri who actually people know their names. Yeah. No one responds to me. But we've talked a lot about Connor and John Hamm. But You're from Connecticut.
Yes.
What set you on this kind of path to meeting Connor?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to do stuff in the entertainment world. I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something in TV or film. So I went to college in New York City. So I moved there when I was 18. I went to Pace University, which people know because they shoot inside the Actors Studio there, the TV show that was always at Pace University. So I went there and I started going to this theater, the UCB theater, which was started by Amy Poehler and Matt Walsh and Matt Besser and Ian Roberts. It was an improv theater, comedy theater. And a lot of people came out of there. A lot of, the big names in comedy now, Donald Glover, Ellie Kemper, like a lot of people went through this school, did classes and shows at this school. So it was like the cool place to be hanging out at that point if you wanted to go see comedy. And I just started seeing Connor in shows and going through the Chris Gethard show, the thing that I was working on. Like he was doing a lot of stuff in that show, both on camera and off camera. He and I eventually like became the camera operators for the show, even though neither of us were camera operators. It was just like it was an all hands on deck. It was very much a Muppet Show thing where it was an all hands on deck, like we're all gonna get together and put together a show kind of thing. Show, yeah, we just became friends through that. But like it really between this and doing stuff at UCB and the Gethard show, like that's where I decided that I wanted to do more talent booking and talent casting and stuff like that. Like it was where I figured that out and how I realized, oh, this is what I enjoy doing. So without this show and those shows, like I don't know what I would be doing. I would probably be bored in a job that I didn't like in the film and TV world, which there are a bunch. That just aren't for me. But these things, it all worked out and it all came together in the right way for me to realize what it was I wanted to do, which is fun. Cool.
Since you love doing this so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
would you be my producer and would you do it for free? I mean, I could send you
Truly,
some
if
stickers.
I had the bandwidth or the brain power or anything else, and I was able to sleep already, of which I'm not now, yes, absolutely. But I don't have the capacity to take on anything else without fully losing my mind.
Oh, I do not blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
just have this one thing
Yeah.
that I do, and
It's
I do it
hard.
by myself.
Yeah.
I do it entirely by myself, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just okay. So Star Wars, you love Star
Yeah.
Wars.
I do.
What
I do.
is your favorite Star Wars movie? And
So
why?
it goes back and forth. I think New Hope is probably the number one. I don't think there's any fighting that, but like I love Last Jedi, I love Phantom Menace, I love Rogue One.
You
So
love
any of
Last
those,
Jedi?
yeah, I love Last Jedi. I love Last Jedi. I love it, and it's
Rogue
okay
One.
that you don't. It's okay that you don't, but I do. And
No, that's
but I
perfectly
think
fine.
and look, here's the thing. I think that's the good thing about Star Wars is that we can all like different things. And as long as you're not an asshole about it or like telling people that they can't like something, I think it's good that we are all on that same page.
What a wild
Isn't that
concept.
a crazy
What a
concept?
renegade you are.
Just let people enjoy things. And you'd think that this would be an insane thing that I'm saying, and it apparently is.
Just listen, no one can say one thing. You can't even say the words "the acolyte"
I know.
without.
I know.
I've never seen
It's
so much
sad.
division in
It's really sad.
anything. In my,
Yeah.
it's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. Like I can say, I liked it, but I have this issue with this
Sure.
writing, this plot
Sure.
hole, and
Sure.
all of the sudden, there's like I would think physical tomatoes were being thrown at my head. Like what?
Sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
What did I say?
It's honestly better not to talk about it online. That's kind of the thing. And I don't know how we've done it, but we have somehow avoided that section of the fan base, which makes me very happy. We're like a pretty positive show on the overall, and for some reason, even though we, talk about things that are divisive and like call out people who we think are bad for the community sometimes, like we never hear about it, which I think is the good thing about not being a gigantic show. We're a very like mid-level show that has its very specific group of fans, and I think that's great.
That's necessarily just it. I think that
Yeah.
you guys have hit on something.
Yeah.
You're talking about, you're expressing a love of this man, of this entire
Yeah.
genre, and you're never really isolating it to this one thing, or sitting there and repeatedly giving your opinion, or necessarily reviewing. You're not even really
Yeah.
reviewing anything. And that's I think what you've kind of hit on, this one very specific
Yeah.
thing that we all can agree on, that no matter if it's this Star Wars or that Star Wars, we all love it, and we
Yes.
all want to express that or even emulate it in some way. Like when, when you guys were doing the, oh no, we're being transported to, was it
To
Endor?
Endor? Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
listen, I fucking love Ewoks
Me
so
too.
much, so much
Me too.
that I I actually have a Shih
Amazing.
Tzu, and he looks like an Ewok, so we call him the Ewok baby, and I cosplay him. He cosplays as an Ewok.
That
Like I
rules.
made him robes and stuff. We did actually. We adopted him after the Battle of
Yeah.
Endor. His
Very cool.
parents were killed by a walker, so
Sure. I get it.
you know.
During COVID, I bought something online, and I didn't, it was coming from Italy, and I didn't look at the correct size, and I didn't do the conversion correctly on centimeters to inches. So it showed up, and I said, oh no, this is too big. I'm never gonna be able to do anything with this. As I was living in New York, I eventually moved to LA. I had to get this poster. I got it linen backed and I got it framed, and it's far too big, but it is hanging up on my wall over there. I can't show you, but I'm going to send you this, and if you bring it up on screen, people will be able to see what it is.
Absolutely. The cast of Acolyte did this little bit, like it was Yord steaming his robe, and
Yeah,
at the
it's
very
good
end,
stuff.
he's cuddling this giant wicket stuffy,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like, screw everything else that happened in this clip. I
yeah.
need that wicket.
I think you
And
can buy that on the Disney website, on the Disney Store website.
do they take smiles?
I
I'll
don't know
pay
if they
them in
take smiles. Yeah, that
smiles.
might be a problem.
This is incredible.
So it's an
That is,
Italian Ewok adventure poster. It is, I want to say 6.5 or 7 feet tall now.
God. It
It's far.
makes you look like a tiny little baby man.
If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see it before it's framed, and when I got it during COVID.
La Ventura delle
It-
Ewoks. That's
yeah, well worth it. Well worth it.
so
But
so cool. So I'm going to share something as well, since
yeah,
it's that
it's
specific.
share time. Yeah, there we
That
go.
is so on
Oh my god,
Tuesdays.
that's so funny.
On Tuesdays, occasionally when I'm
Yeah,
feeling it, because creativity is not
yeah,
something scheduled. Um, I have Tiny Tuesdays, and
yeah.
I will Photoshop him into different posters. And this one is one of my favorites because
Amazing.
he is the Ewok baby.
I mean, he
So,
looks great. You got to get him. I don't know if he already has the little head covering, but you got to get him one of those if he doesn't have it.
oh, see the top left and the middle one.
Are those real?
Yeah, those are
Oh,
real.
amazing.
I
I
made them.
look, I was giving you a lot of credit on your Photoshop skills. I thought those were photoshopped on.
Oh, the bottom one,
Yeah.
that is photoshopped on.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
wearing
yeah.
the Wicket's hood, but the
I
rest,
mean, that looks amazing. I love it.
he's also, because he's an Imperial Shih Tzu. He's an Imperial Shih Tzu, so of course, we had to have Emperor Tiny.
Oh my god.
Now, my mother was pregnant with my brother. It was 2 years after Return of the Jedi came out, and she asked, "Do I want a brother? Do I want a sister?" I said, "I want an Ewok. I want an Ewok." It took me like 30 something years, but I did
Yeah.
get an Ewok
You got
baby.
it. You did it. That's so funny.
So what's in it for the future, for the George Lucas talk show, for Patrick, for Connor?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think post COVID, once we came back and we're doing live shows and live streams, a combo of those, we realized this is kind of the way to do it. And just whenever we want to do it is when we do it. We're not on a schedule anymore. We can do it. I think at the beginning of this year we did, I want to say 8 shows in like 4.5 months, which is a lot, you know. both live streams and live shows. It's kind of exhausting to, travel around the country doing all that. So I think we'll just do it whenever we feel like it. We're going to do New York Comic Con, and we'll probably do another show in New York that week, and just like bopping around, whoever wants us to come somewhere, all they got to do is reach out and we'll come do a show there. But, and then, hopefully we get to do more live reads too. I think the next one ideally will be very soon. So hopefully Attack of the Clones is coming.
We'll come to St. Louis, do
Would
a
love
show
it.
in St. Louis.
Would
I
love
would love
to.
to see you get a chance to see the live show.
Love to.
Give you guys warm hugs.
Yes.
Everyone needs
Yes,
hugs. I'm a
yes,
big
yes.
hugger. Apparently, I have issues with boundaries, but I don't have an issue with it. I'm fine.
Yeah. If you don't have an issue, it doesn't matter. That's okay.
But definitely come do shows. There's a lot of venues in St. Louis.
Yeah.
That you can do a live show at. And we actually have Comic Cons. We have ArchCon. We have WizardCon.
Yeah.
Definitely come see it.
We like going different places. We've done like Detroit and Atlanta and San Francisco and all over the place. We just did some Seattle and Portland shows. So it's like fun going to places that I would not normally go to.
I'm hearing a lot of area.
A lot of coastal stuff. Yeah. We'll get there.
And we have toasted ravioli and stuff. So it's really good.
Okay. So as long as we get paid in real money and toasted ravioli, I think we're in.
Let me talk to the rest of St. Louis, but I think we can make that happen.
Great.
I think we can make that happen.
Skyline Chili, is that St. Louis?
Skyline Chili?
Skyline Chili. Where's Skyline Chili from? I thought it was St. Louis. Apparently I'm wrong though.
I've never heard of it, but
oh wow.
I don't know.
It's Cincinnati. Everything. It's Cincinnati. Sorry.
How dare you, sir?
I'm sorry. I know.
Well, Patrick, I won't keep you. I know you are a very busy, important man. You got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of work. I personally loved the documentary.
It's great. Thank you so much for watching it.
I love the perspective that it gave, the amount of work that goes into this thing that you guys do, and not just the amount of work, but the amount of love that goes into it. Because if it wasn't for the fact that you guys do this out of pure enjoyment, you do this for yourselves. If that wasn't the case, I don't think it would be any good.
Yeah. True.
I think that's true for most creative things. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't love it, if it's not something coming from right down in the cockles of your heart, then I don't think it's ever going to work. So you guys have struck something that is just incredible. It's kind of a love letter to the fandom, and kind of personally, and this is just kind of striking me, but I feel like the thing you guys have stumbled upon, and it's taken like 10 years. You're at the 10-year mark now.
Yeah.
But it's something that the Star Wars fandoms, and I say multiple fandoms, need reminded of. Why we're here, why we love this thing in the first place. Something that everyone can agree on, and just sit back, relax, enjoy the nostalgia, and laugh for a bit. And thanks for that. I think...
Oh, you're welcome. Of course. I agree, though. I think, people forget that. People forget that it's a bunch of movies for 12-year-old boys about space wizards. You know what I mean? Like, they build it up to be so much more in their brains, and it's like, no, you got to remember who these movies are made for, and that we're all just here to have fun, and it should not define your entire life in a way that is detrimental to your mental health. So
absolutely, do not let one thing ever be your core defining trait. You're an onion, baby. You're an onion.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Questions, comments, emotional outbursts before we...
I don't think so. I mean, I'm GeorgeLucas.com, NabooMovie.com, at Patrick Cotnoir on Twitter, at Cotnoir on Instagram. And, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up soon. So hopefully we'll get to talk about more stuff in the future.
Awesome. Make sure you subscribe to the George Lucas Talk Show on YouTube. Yes. Look for I'm George Lucas, a Connor Ratliff Story, wherever you can rent movies. And eventually, just keep your eye out for it. It's going to be streaming soon.
Yeah.
Until then, nerds, I've been Danny. He's been Patrick. Yeah, there we
Nope,
go.
other
He's
way.
been
For me,
Patrick.
it's the other way.
Yeah, I was pointing at you.
But for me, on my camera, you're pointing the wrong way.
Okay, well, on my camera, I'm pointing the correct way.
Yes, that's the camera that matters.
Yeah, it is the camera. So shut up, Patrick. Stay in your lane.
Let's take it again. Let's take it again. We'll pretend like that didn't happen. Take it again. Go from the top.
Until then, nerds, I've been Danny. He's been Patrick. You've been awesome. I will see you in the next one. Remember, check under your bed tonight because
Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are gonna get you.